thank you for joining us. I'm Joy.
And I'm Laura.
And this is The Witches of Letters, a supernatural rewatch podcast.
Buckle up as we dive into Season 1, Episode 2, Wendigo.
Okay. How many thirst traps, roughly speaking, do you feel like there were in this episode?
Well, last episode you had 7 and I had 2. And this time just in my notes, I've written down 7.
So we're starting strong. We're starting really, really strong.
This is not just a thirst trap podcast.
It's not, but it's thirst trap podcast adjacent sometimes.
Yeah, there was quite a lot in this one. And I'm more Sam this episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, no,
but I did
honestly,
still have a couple of Dean ones.
This is interesting. How many of these thirst traps are Sam based?
I'd say probably 5 out of the 7. It's because he was grumpy. I like grumpy. Oh. Apparently I like it when he's grumpy.
You like vengeful Sam.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm surprised, but I sort of get it because I think for me, in episode 1, his most shining moment is driving that car into the entire house, like just into the house. And it was a brilliant move. Like that was the best possible move. That's how it got ended. So I do get it. And like Sam is a very handsome guy. He's great. But I just think I'm shook. I'm shook because I really wasn't expecting you to say that.
Yeah, it was him being smart as well. There's loads of bits of me saying he's got some research, he's being smart, he's hot.
He is very intelligent. Like, yeah. I do get it. I want to know if our listener base, when we have a listener base, since we're a brand new baby podcast, but I really want to know if it ends up shaking out more Team Dean or Team Sam.
I reckon it will be quite evenly split, maybe.
Ooh, that's an interesting prediction.
And I'm still not committed to one or the other. But apparently what I found out from this episode is apparently I like grumpy academics.
Well, there we go. Like, we're learning more and more about you every episode.
I'm learning that about me too.
It's an awakening, if you will.
Yeah, so overall, I really liked this episode. What did you think overall?
I had a really good time watching it. I am a really big fan of some of the older monster movies. So a little while ago, I was really under the weather. And I found myself rewatching like the original Dracula and some of the old school like Frankenstein and werewolf movies and the original Mummy. And there is another episode down the line that I'm obsessed with, and you will see why when we get there. But this one was like a really interesting mashup of a lot of my favorite things. And it felt very much like Nosferatu kind of inspired with the creature design, like the monster design.
Yeah.
I really felt like some of the way that they were kind of negotiating different shots or building the horror reminded me of old movies a little bit. So I really liked that. I liked that it was very character driven this episode. Like it is action heavy because it's horror, but I feel like the development of everything, the growth of the story is really taking place from each character. And we're developing the characters and we're developing the core of the show in this episode. Because like the line that sort of sums up everything that's going on in the entirety of most of the show is said actually in this episode. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like rewatching this episode so much, because it takes you right back to the beginning and you can kind of see the moment where things start to gel together and the Winchesters like become who we know them to be, which is they're protectors of people who don't know about monsters or who aren't strong enough or brave enough or whatever the case may be to face up to that.
Yeah, they were definitely very protective in this episode. For me, I watched it twice again. So my initial reaction was different to my second time I watched it. So my initial reaction was that it wasn't as strong as the pilot, but it was still solid. But then I changed my mind the second time I watched it and decided I actually prefer it to the pilot. I think it was because there wasn't as much going on as in the pilot, but that was understandable because the pilot, they had to let the audience know a whole backstory and all the kind of introducing all the characters. But I actually liked the slower pace of this one. and it wasn't as scary as the pilot,
Mhm.
but I've worked out that that's for me. So it's the ghosty ones, the ghost episodes. They're going to scare me more than the kind of classic monster ones, because
Ah,
I'm more scared of like ghostly things. But the monster ones are going to be more enjoyable for me. Um, yeah, this was kind of like a slasher horror movie instead of a
yeah.
The Conjuring or something.
Yeah, I no, I really agree with that. I don't think it was as scary as the first episode either. I think this is more of like a monster of the week creature feature episode, more so than the first one. The first one, like we were talking about before, feels more cinematic, I think, to both of us.
Yeah,
We agreed on that, right? This one,
yeah,
I think, feels a bit less cinematic in terms of what's going on. Although there's elements that I think it draws from movies. It doesn't feel exactly cinematic. I don't know how else to describe it. Like it feels more like Monster of the Week, Creature Feature, like X-Files.
yeah,
Um
yeah.
and it's really well done, but I agree with you, like, it didn't make me jump, it didn't make me
Mhm.
cringe, really, like, there were parts where I enjoyed it, like, I feel like if you're a horror fan, you watch a lot of content, right? Like, so you
Yeah,
have your separate genres, you have your slashers, you have your creature feature monster movies, you have your psychological and suspense stuff, and this one really is like creature feature, and I feel like one of the defining things about that is, like, you have basically just the monster is there to propel the storyline, but isn't necessarily the center of the storyline. Um, and I think that that's very true with this one because, like we said, this really gives us an insight into Sam and Dean and their motivations and how they operate within this world.
yeah, yeah, it definitely does. It was interesting you just said something about it being a bit like X-Files, because I had noted down that this episode reminded me of a specific episode of the X-Files, and it's the one where Mulder and Scully are in the woods and they're investigating something, and everyone's being cocooned by
Yeah.
whatever the creature was. Um, and even more interesting, well, another fun fact, I then, because I'm me, I looked it up on IMDb, and someone
Oh,
on there
you
had said,
scooped me. You
"Ah,
scooped me. I was going to tell you this because it came up in my research.
oh
Dang
yeah."
it, Laura.
It said it was a different episode. That it said there was other people likening it to a different episode, and they said it was um, Detour in season 5. But the episode that I think it was like was it definitely in season 1. But I can see the comparisons. Like people are going to be comparing the two series. They are similar in some ways.
Wait, I'm so excited because you didn't actually scoop me. Yeah,
Okay.
maybe you don't know this because this was a much more buried fact that I found out that the guy who wrote this episode wrote the X-Files. Like he was a
Ah.
staff writer on the X-Files and I was so excited to tell you that like when we got to the part where we're like, "Oh, it reminds us of the X-Files," which you brought
Oh,
up.
that's really
And then I was
interesting.
like, "Oh my gosh, you're right. It really does." He was a
Yeah.
staff writer. He wrote this episode and he started his career on the X-Files. Um, and I think it was like season 3, I want to say off the top of my head.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, that I thought that
Ah,
was
so that
so
might be why
interesting.
then.
Yeah.
Why it's quite similar. That is a fun fact.
Yeah.
We both had fun facts in this one.
We did.
Right, should I synopsize and then we can get in to the
Yes.
rest of it?
Mhm.
So, so this is season 1, episode 2, which is called Wendigo. The original air date for this episode was September 20th, 2005. Following their dad's clues, Sam and Dean stop at Blackwater Ridge in Colorado. They pretend to be park rangers and meet a girl named Haley, whose brother Tommy has gone missing on a camping trip with his friends. Sam and Dean join the group to search for them, and they soon discover that a cannibalistic, part human monster is to blame for this, as well as many other disappearances in previous years. Sam doesn't want to be there, like at all. He wants to find their dad and the entity that killed his girlfriend and sees this whole detour as a hindrance. Dean tries to help him come to terms with the situation. In the end, they find Tommy alive, barely, and rescue him. Dean kills the Wendigo so they can all escape. Sam and Dean realise their dad wants them to carry on the family business, and it looks like they're going to do just that while continuing to look for him. So this episode, so it just started with the recap, didn't it? It didn't have like an
Mhm.
opening scene. It had the recap, and then we still haven't got any credits. But and
I
then yeah,
honestly can't remember when we get Carry On My Wayward Son and like opening credits and stuff. Like
I'm
I'm
gonna be
so
so
excited.
excited.
It must be soon. This is where we get through the entirety of season 1, and it's, like, not there at all, and it doesn't happen until season 2 or something, and we just go, "What?"
We'll see when I am planning to watch the next episode, like, tonight. Because it's like the olden days. I am watching one episode a week. Well, I'm watching it multiple times, but I'm still only watching one episode a week, and it's like being back in the 2000s.
It is like being back into the 2000s, because, like, if you really pause and think about it, how many of us would have the restraint now to watch Supernatural and then stop at the episode? So the self-restraint to just go through one at a time so that we can record it and get her reactions is, like, we should applaud, honestly.
I'm doing it for the podcast because I don't want to know what's coming up so that I'm not being spoiled when we record the show.
And we appreciate your sacrifice, okay? So I feel like for me, the thing that this drew on the most was like an X-Files episode combined with the Blair Witch, which I checked the air date because I was like pretty positive that this predated Supernatural, and it did. The Blair Witch was actually 1999. So,
Whoa.
oh, I
feel
always
old.
think that it was like 2000 and something, but no, it was 1999. And when I think about it, like, that's right, because I'm pretty sure I was still in school when it came out.
Yeah.
So
I'd only just started secondary school then. Well, like I was probably in my second year.
yeah. So it's like the X-Files mixed with Blair Witch with like the Nosferatu looking creature as the bad guy.
Yeah.
And it felt a lot like that kind of like flashlight horror, which as we go through the synopsis, I might talk a little bit more about again, but basically it's the way that in this episode you have these almost handheld camera type of motions, like especially from the beginning, and then the way that the light's really limited, and we're mostly looking at what's happening in terms of the action through like the light from the Game Boy screen or whatever it is that he had. I'm not a game person. I have no idea. And then
Well,
the
I know about that
flashlights.
later, so don't worry.
Nice. And then the flashlights throughout the rest of the episode, more or less, like a lot of the action occurs in the dark with just the light of the flashlight. And I realized on the rewatch that was one of the reasons why, not just because it was in the woods, but that was one of the main reasons why it was giving me Blair Witch vibes, because it's these small, tight camera movements. It's filmed in this kind of like gritty, slightly desaturated way with a lot of blue tones kind of amped in there at different parts. Because as we know, still kind of now, but definitely back in the day, blue means that it's nighttime. And they really want us to know that it's nighttime. And if it's very important that we know that it's night, they make the light blue. Because they think that will make us believe that it's like natural lighting in the darkness. I still find it so cheesy. But you know, it's beautifully filmed. I like the color edit on it for the most part. I think that it's really interesting the way that they've done it. I like the fact that they've kind of desaturated it a certain amount and sort of brought up like browns and greens and specific colors each episode. It gives it a really cohesive look, and it sets the tone for the show, which is it is gritty and it is a horror show. So they really amp up the reds in certain places. But it's a darker red, which I feel like is probably for like network like guidelines, being like gory, but not too gory, because we have to get it on TV.
That's really interesting. Like you bringing up all the colors. I hadn't even noticed. I wouldn't have even noticed that. I'm going to try and notice it now, though. Like the different color.
Film degree. I'm putting it to use at last, you guys. I got my degree in 2008, and I'm using it for the first time in my life.
So I was going to make a point. You said about I've forgotten what my point was.
Color.
Oh, the found footage, because you were saying it was like Blair Witch, and because there's the scene where they meet Haley and she shows them she has like a video diary from her brother, doesn't she? And it's like, that's a bit like found footage, so that ties in too. So you mentioned before about a Game Boy. It wasn't a Game Boy Joy, it was a Nintendo DS.
Thank you for educating me about this very important topic.
I looked at it and I was like, wait, are they Nintendo DSs? Because I had one of those and it can't have been that long ago. They cannot have been out in 2005. So I had to look it up. And that made me feel old as well because they came out in 2004.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Isn't
But
it
yeah, Nintendo
weird
DS, they were
though?
cool.
Time is so subjective. Like if you ask me like how long has if I didn't know the number and you're like how long has it been since you left university? I would be like maybe 5 years. I wouldn't be like 15 years ago.
I'm still 20.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're still young. We're still in our 20s. I'm not at all 40.
So we had a flashback in the next scene. No, it wasn't a flashback, it was a dream. We had a dream in the next scene,
Yeah.
a dream sequence, but you don't know it's a dream sequence until the end. And I thought this whole bit
That
was really
was
cute.
I thought that was the best jump scare in the whole show.
Yeah. Oh, that jump scare that is Carrie, the end of
Yeah,
Carrie. I
right at
think
the
it must have been
beginning.
a nod to that.
Yeah, well, so you
Yeah.
pointed that
Oh, it's
out, and I felt
yeah.
very ashamed of myself because I did not pick up on it, and I studied Carrie at university as part of my film degree. I didn't pick up on it, and Laura was like, "It's Carrie," and I was like, "Oh my god, hold the phone! It is Carrie." The Stephen King nods continue.
I've made a note to try and notice them all. Now because I love Stephen King, but I haven't watched a lot of the movies that were based on Stephen King books, but I've read like nearly all of the books. So I might be able to pick out some of them. But yeah, so before that bit though, because so the bit we're talking about is when the hand comes out of the grave and grabs him, and then he wakes up from
Yes.
the dream. So the dream sequence is him visiting his girlfriend Jess's grave, who died in the last episode. Um, and this was my this was my first strap moment because he was really cute when he was crying.
He is in mourning, Laura. He is in mourning.
But he was being a bit harsh on himself because he was saying that he was blaming himself for her death and that he should have warned her or told her the truth or something. And I was like, you couldn't really though, could you, Sam? Because what was he going to say to him? Was he just going to be like, by the way, I hunt monsters. Most people don't even believe they exist. Because she would have just been like, well, that's a bit like weird.
Yeah. She would have been like, I think that you're studying too hard, my friend, and that the degree that you're doing is getting to you. You're doing law. Law is a hard degree. Let's just take you to the psych ward. Okay. Let's just
Yeah,
have the psych students just run a little check. A little check on you because you're trying to tell me that monsters are real and your dad hunts monsters and your brother hunts monsters and your mom was killed when you were a child by a monster. And I'm just concerned. I'm just concerned, Sam, that the stress is getting to you.
yeah, exactly. So he couldn't have said that to her. So there wasn't really anything else he could have done. But yeah, but we learn this must be not the first in lots of nightmares he's been having because Dean kind of says to him, "Oh, did you have another nightmare?"
Yeah. PTSD, my friends. The joys of
Yeah.
PTSD. I say that
Um,
sarcastically as somebody with PTSD, just to clarify, because I don't want you guys to think that I'm making light of it. I'm making light of my own difficulties.
I said that the car looks really good here. It was driving down the road and it was all shiny and it looked really
Okay.
nice. And
Her
do you
name
know what
is
kind of car it
Baby.
is?
I
Baby
do.
looked nice.
I know because it gets mentioned in the show, but you go ahead and you tell us.
No, I don't have it written down.
I
I
believe
was
she's a
asking you.
67 Chevy Impala, but I want to just double check that I have the year right.
Okay. I wouldn't have known that because we don't have those in England. We don't have
Like I
cool
know.
cars.
Okay. Is Baby a 67 Chevy Impala? Like all of you guys, if I'm wrong, they're gonna be listening to this episode going, no. Yes, the 1967 Chevrolet Impala, lovingly referred to as Baby, is an iconic character in its own right. Fact. Okay. I
Okay.
remain
But I
I
like it.
remain intact. Like you guys, I know my stats. I know what's here.
Yeah, I like it. I like vintage cars. I like it. It's good.
Beautiful,
Um
beautiful car.
so they go to they're in the national forest somewhere, like what do you call them? National forest, national park?
National parks. Yeah, or
National
nature
parks.
reserves.
And they've gone to a ranger where the rangers are. What do you call
Where
those?
the rangers are. Home on the range.
I don't know. I'm English, you guys. I don't know what you call them. A ranger hut? I don't know. They go and talk to a ranger. It doesn't matter where he is.
We don't need to know. He's in the woods. That's the setting. He's in the woods.
So he tells them that a girl has been looking for her brother because he's gone missing, but he says he hasn't gone missing and he's got some permit that says he's going to be out for a few weeks. So she needs to like chill
He
out.
accuses her of being hysterical, basically. He's like, this hysterical woman. But he does it in a low-key, kind of like almost Midwestern way.
So that they managed to get a copy of this permit so they can go and visit this girl. And I was like, this is illegal, right? They can't just... It's a GDPR breach, which American listeners won't know what that is. So I wrote it down, General Data Protection Regulation, and I think it's either a British or an EU regulation, but you must have something similar. But he can't be going out giving them full names and addresses of people that have gone into the woods.
I love how concerned you are for the welfare of these fictional characters. It's great.
Well, they could have been anyone, and they go into this girl's house now.
It's true. They could be Ted Bundy. Like, we don't know.
That park ranger is not professional. I feel like this episode is getting very chaotic. We're already on like the second scene.
I've had no sleep, and I propped myself up with cake and coffee. And inevitably, what goes up must come down at some point. I'm just going to be sitting here like,
Right, so they go to Haley's house. We'll just keep going. They go to Haley's house. They're totally flirting. Dean and Haley are totally flirting. She likes his car.
She does like his car. She really
and he
does.
likes her.
Yeah.
So she tells them what's going on. Says she normally hears from her brother, but she hasn't for a few days, so she's going to go out there to find him. I have a note here to talk about low-rise jeans and why were they even a thing.
Oh my god. The torture. I feel like they're going to come back. I'm deeply concerned that they're going to come back, and I really don't want that to happen. Like, no one needs to see that much ass crack that much of the time, because even if your shirts are extra long, it doesn't matter. At some point, there's going to be a slip up, and somebody's going to see your butt crack, and no one needs that, and that's just no, thank you. They're wildly uncomfortable.
Yep.
And I feel like that, more than anything, sums up the hypersexualization of young girls and women in the 2000s.
Yep.
And also, like, the way that we were pressured to be incredibly skinny for that whole era of fashion.
Because the whole thing was to, like, have your hip bones sticking out.
Yeah, and they were supposed to jut, you know?
Yeah, no, that's... Right, PSA to all the Gen Z out there and anyone younger. As millennials who have lived through it the first time, just don't do it. It's not worth it.
Amen.
So the next scene was quite a good one. So they're in the bar, and another thirst trap. So Sam doing research. So he's done some research and he's sharing with Dean what he's found, and he's got loads of articles out and he's got his laptop, and I was into it.
I can second that motion. Like, I can see what you're seeing there.
Yeah, I like how smart he is. So this is the bit they find out about it keeps happening every 23 years, 20 odd years. Yeah. And there's a living person from quite a while ago, because he's an old man now, who was a child at the time and his parents were killed, and he's a survivor. So they go and speak to this guy. And the line is that sorry, you go.
Oh, I was just going to say, he's very sympathetic. Like, he's just this sweet old man. And you can see that he's struggling with the lie that he's had to tell a lie his entire life to everyone that he's seen about the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to him. And there's a certain kind of weight, I think, attached to that. And this actor just really conveys that. He's very vulnerable. You really care about him. And then he shows them the scar that he has. And it's huge and terrifying looking, which does a great... It does a really good job of setting us up to be scared of whatever this creature is, because we have no idea at this point what it is.
No, but you can tell just from how he's really scared. And I don't know how old he is now, but it's been like probably about 60 years since it happened. And he's really, really scared. And so the lie he's had to tell is that it was a grizzly bear. That's the like the party line is that there's a grizzly bear out there
A
that's killing
grizzly
people,
bear.
mauling people.
That was so British. That was great. Grizzly.
How do
Grizzly.
you say it?
Grizzly bear.
Grizzly bear.
Grizzly bear. Yeah.
But so he thinks it's a demon, doesn't he? He says he thinks it's a demon, but then the
Yeah.
brother's like, "That's not a demon."
Yeah. Isn't it? Yeah. Isn't that around the time when they say like demons and spirits don't need to break through doors because or open doors? He
Yeah,
said it undid the lock. That was another thing that was adding to the creep factor. Like he said that I never knew of a bear that could open a lock and like walk in. And then I think
yeah,
it's Dean who says something like demons and spirits don't need to undo locks, they just walk through walls. So
yeah. So that's when they're kind of talking afterwards. But
yeah.
yeah, this old man, I thought he was a really good actor as well, but he looked really scared. But yeah, the scene that you're talking about, so that's afterwards when they're not there anymore, and
They're walking down the hall.
this is my quote of the week when Sam says it must be something corporeal, and Dean says, "Corporeal, excuse me, Professor."
Yeah.
That was funny.
Which you were digging the Professor vibes on Sam, so
Yeah, I don't know what's going
yeah.
on today. Yeah,
Professor Sam.
but I'd made a note here that it's a different type of monster as last time, because last time it was a ghost. So I'm happy that there's going to be a mixture of different monsters in the series, and it's not just all ghosts and paranormal.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I really appreciate about the show is there is a really huge variety of scary things in the show, and they don't just do like one thing to death. There
Yeah,
might be an argument to be made that there are certain things that get really repeated, but I think it's done really well. I think the things are scary and they move from like one storyline sort of set of terrifying thing to the next kind of storyline set of terrifying thing. So
yeah,
the creature of the week kind of vibe that we get right at the beginning sort of shifts a little bit because some of the story arcs they decide to go more in depth with. So you get things for sort of longer. Obviously, I've got to be super vague because Laura knows nothing and has seen nothing. And I can't give her spoilers, which is why I'm being so vague, you guys.
So the takeaway from them saying that so basically it's something real instead of like a ghost that they so this time Dean can actually
Shoot it in
shoot
the
it and it'll die
face.
rather than shooting a ghost.
Just
Rather than
shooting at
shooting a ghost.
absolutely nothing.
And he says like, "Oh, that means we can actually kill it this time." So yeah.
Yeah.
And then so that they've got a weird vibe at the moment. So they almost look like they're gonna have a fight because Sam's still being really grumpy, and Dean's like what's going on? What you're not normally like this, and he like chucks a bag at him, and they just look at each other like they're gonna punch each other in the face. It's like what? Nothing. It's like what's going on with you two?
That's where my first note is actually. Is when
Yeah,
I've just written down Dean throws, heavy emphasis underline on throws, the bag at Sam. Because
yeah,
he throws the bag at Sam because Sam is being a dick. Like,
yeah,
hot take. But Sam is so wrapped up in his quest for vengeance that he really doesn't care about this girl or her brother. He could not give a
yeah.
fuck. He wants to avenge Jess and deal with like he's having a lot of nightmares. He's not doing well, so I'm going to give him that. But like in terms of like just being a good human, he is not his normal self at all. And I know that's
No,
hard to say so early on, but I feel like you can kind of gauge that he's not really being quite himself, that things are off with him. Dean even says like, "What's up with you? What's your deal? What's your problem?" Um,
yeah,
and when he throws the bag at Sam, it's because he's so frustrated because he wants to do what he needs to do and he wants to protect people on the way. And he can tell that Sam doesn't care about these people and he's pissed
yeah.
off because those are not the values that they were raised with. So he's really angry.
He's just seeing it as like it's just getting in the way of him finding the dad, finding whatever that killed the mum and his girlfriend. So yeah, but yeah, he's being a dick. Maybe I need to think why do I like him so much in this episode? Red flags.
Questions to ask ourselves. Um, I also have another note, which I think you're going to find really funny. So the first watch round, we were talking about the kid brother, and
Oh yeah.
I said some very unkind things about the kid brother. And then on this rewatch, I was like, this man, who in this episode is a kid and looks like a kid, has the strongest case of resting bitch face that I've ever seen in my life. And then I thought about it more and I was like, well, his only older brother is missing. I don't know if he's normally
Yeah.
like the provider in the household. And then he has a sister. And if anything happens to his sister, he's totally screwed. So, like, it, when you pause and you put more of a human face on it, it makes sense. But like on the first watch through, I had got none of that. I just thought he has like the annoying teen brother who
Yeah.
seems to want to like complain and be snappy with the boys when all they're trying to do is help. That was my first take. On the second watch through, I was like, actually, he has just really bad resting bitch face. Like he's going through a lot, but his resting bitch face is the most I have ever seen. Like I feel like he gets the crown, he gets the award, he takes home the title. I've never seen anything like it.
So at this point, they're going to find this Haley girl, and she's got like a search party together, or she's got a guide, and then her younger brother, who the one you're talking about, and her are all going into the woods. And this guide is called Roy, and I don't like Roy.
I liked Roy
What
more on the second time around.
did you?
I
It
did.
was okay to start with, but yeah, I didn't really like Roy. Let's just say when he dies later, I was like, yeah, whatever.
You were like, woo! The first time we were watching it, you were like, oh no, Roy has died.
Like,
Oh dear.
ish.
Pity. Oh no.
But I liked this scene. It was funny when the brothers showed up because Haley makes a comment to Dean about like what he's wearing to go into the woods, and he's like, "Well, sweetheart, I don't wear shorts," or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. He said, I don't do shorts. Yeah.
Which was funny
It was a great
because she's
line.
like, "You're wearing like boots and jeans to go," and because he's obviously she doesn't think he's a ranger, but he's told her that he's a ranger.
Yeah.
She's like, "This does not compute."
Yeah. He's not doing a good job of convincing her that he's a ranger. He did not make an effort. Like sometimes they put on disguises and they make an effort to pretend to be other people. This time they just turned up as themselves. They were like, yeah, we're rangers wearing
Yeah.
absolutely the wrong clothing to be in the woods, as far as she's concerned, at least. Like I'm trying to think of what he was wearing. Like it's not the worst woods clothing that I've ever seen in my life, but nor is it the best. I'll just say that. Like he's not serving us I'm a park ranger.
No. Yeah, the jeans are all right though to go into the woods, aren't they? They're going to protect your legs from things.
I mean, like to be fair, jeans and boots. I think are they supposed to be in Montana? I can't remember.
Colorado.
Yeah. So snakes. Like you would normally, like where I'm from and throughout most of the South at least, like you would wear potentially even steel-toed boots to go out on a longer walk, and usually jeans, because jeans are light enough that they breathe, but they cover your legs and give you a little bit of protection from stuff like that. But the main thing is like you would wear boots to go on a big hike.
Yeah.
I think he's wearing more like, what's the word that I want here? Not so much hiking boots, which is I assume what she's commenting on. That he just doesn't look like he's dressed to go on a long hike, which that's fair. Like he's not exactly in hiking trousers or like hiking boots. But like where I'm from, jeans and boots like that, like heavy work boots, you would go out in because that's what we have. So that's what we would wear. So he's fine.
So they join this group, and then it cuts to a scene where all the people, the boys from the start who'd been taken by the monster, are all kind of strung up in a abandoned mine, and they're all bloody, but they're still alive at this point. But then I think one of them gets eaten because there's a load of bones crunching, and like we don't actually see the creature or the monster, do we? It's still all very like just shadows, and you hear it, but you don't see it. And then we get an ad break.
And then we get an ad break.
We're watching it on Prime, and yeah, there's an ad break. Why the adverts on Prime now? Just saying. Anyway, so then we go back to the group all hiking, and Haley calls them all out on not being rangers, and I noted that Dean and her are definitely flirting again, and he says something about like, this is the most honest I've been with a woman.
Yeah, this is the most honest I've ever been with a woman. I like that line. My favorite line is she's like talking about what he's wearing. And then she's like, you didn't even pack any provisions. And he pulls out that like giant family size bag of M&Ms. And he says, what do you mean I didn't pack provisions? And that was like one of my quotes of the episode. Like,
Yeah.
that was so good. He's so like sarcastic, but charming. And that's the thirst trap. That's
Yeah,
the
I did
thirst
have
trap.
that one. I noted that one too.
Yep.
That was one of my Dean ones too. I've noted that he's like being a silly, he's being like a bit of a clown, and I'm don't mind it.
This is the most British he's ever been. He's being a silly. I just like it's so adorable. It's so adorable. We need a little teacup counter or something.
The woods look nice here. I said it's very atmospheric.
The woods
do look pretty.
They look lovely, but they're fucking terrifying. Because this is another note that I have that I thought was amazing. Like this particular line really got to me because I am a country girl, and the way that people from the South pay attention to things like this. So Dean turns to Sam and says, "You hear that?" And he's like, "Yeah, not even crickets." Like the woods are so silent. So with this particular trope, if you are not from the country, let me explain that animals and insects will go silent in the presence of an apex predator, like something really scary. So like if you suddenly see birds flying away, or the woods are weirdly silent around you, there's probably something big and scary very close to you, and you should be very alert of your surroundings. So in some horror stuff, this has gotten picked up in like a couple of books and different things. That was such a good line. When he's like, "You hear that?" Yeah, not even crickets. That's such a because it's not boring. It's not a lame line. It's not like it's quiet. It's too quiet. Like they didn't go for anything sappy or cheesy. They went for like a quite like scary moment. And I think that they both looked super hot at that moment. Also, I will give you that one. If he said that was a Sam or a Dean thirst trap moment, I would say yes.
Okay, that's your second one. That's probably like my what, fifth?
Probably, yeah. We're switching places.
I did have a note about the brother wearing earphones because they're in the woods. They're looking for their brother who's gone missing. Presumably, well, they all think that there's a grizzly bear out there. Grizzly bear out there. Would you want to not be able to hear?
No, I've got to say that would not be my first choice. And I feel like in a horror movie setting, generally that would get you killed. Like the willful dumbness of like having your headphones on playing music while the monster is lurking near you. Like that's a KO. You're done. You're finished. He actually survives. Which is sort of almost breaking lore.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I think he should have been told to take them out, but that's just me.
To be honest, like I didn't even notice them until you pointed that out. Like you pointed that out, and I literally, even on the second rewatch, I was like, I'm gonna look out for that. I did not at all. I didn't notice it. But I believe you.
And presumably, like he's like an emo kid, isn't he? So he's like probably listening to some quite loud music in the woods where they think there's a bear out there. They come across a ransacked campsite and there's blood everywhere. This bit was really creepy, with all the like rips in the tent and the blood all over the tent. And it shows like the hunting instincts of the brothers as well, because they like, I think Dean finds some tracks or something.
He does.
Oh
he
yeah, because
finds
he's
a
saying
set of
about
tracks.
the bodies.
Yeah, he finds a set of tracks where
the
bodies were dragged, and then he said, but then it just stops, like it just disappears, and that is scary.
Yeah,
and some really good foreshadowing. Yeah.
And then they hear a scream in the distance, and they all run towards it. But then Sam stops, and he's like, he can sense. So again, it's his instincts. He can sense that there's something wrong about this, and it's trying to like lure them out from the campsite. So then he says, "No, we all need to go back to the camp." And then he kind of takes Dean away, and he's like, "Let me look at Dad's journal." Which that journal is really cool. Whoever the like prop person was that made that was a cool. That's a cool journal.
Yeah, that's a very cool journal.
Yeah. So he finds the entry about a Wendigo, and then he starts saying, He thinks that that's what it is. So Sam is telling Dean, he's telling them all that it's a big threat, that whatever's out there. And this is where I don't like Roy, because he's being really arrogant, and he's like, I've been a hunter since you were babies, and just not really listening to them. He's like, no, I know better than you.
I really thought that on the first watch through, and then on the second watch through, I thought actually, Dean in particular is really obnoxious to him, because he's the same way that he is to the cops, because his frustration is, since he was a young kid, he and his dad have been the force standing between people and monsters, not the cops, whose job he thinks maybe it should be, and not hunters and guys like Roy who call themselves hunters, when
Yeah.
we know that the real hunters in this world are the monster hunters. So Dean is understandably looking at like Roy and is kind of like unimpressed, because Roy is like, I'm the expert here. And Dean is actually the expert, and he knows that, but he can't say that. And he takes his frustration out on Roy. So Roy, from his point of view, these two guys who look completely unprepared to be in these woods rock up, insert themselves into what is his rescue mission, and then give him shit. And he actually stops Dean from stepping in a bear trap too. Like, this guy who's just completely slated him, a second later, he's stopping him from stepping in a bear trap. Like, he could have just let him walk on if he was that much of an asshole, and been like, well, suits you right, son, for thinking you know better than me. But he doesn't. So there are times when he is kind of annoying, but I feel like his annoyingness is a direct response to the fact that he's been passively aggressively jibed this entire fucking day. And he has no context. They're not explaining themselves to him, so he has no context. So from his point of view, they're being assholes to him. And I got that on the second watch through. Like, I think we're supposed to read him as a really annoying character, so we're supposed to be like, haha, he's dead. But when I rewatched it, I was like, actually, Roy, I think I done you wrong. I think you weren't as bad as I thought that you were.
I don't think I'd looked at it from his point of view of them, because they're just being horrible to him the whole time. But then I think because of this scene, I was like, but they do know, because they have worked it out. But obviously he doesn't know that, like you say, he hasn't got the context.
We have that inside knowledge because we as the audience have seen episode 1. And we know.
Yeah.
We know that they're right. So we're on their side. But if you stop and you watch the episode from his point of view, he's actually being pretty reasonable.
Yeah. But they all nearly have a punch up, though, the three of them.
They do.
The three men, they nearly have a fight. And Haley has to step in and split them all up. It's like, now, boys.
Now, children. To your corners.
So then Dean says they need to settle in for the night and protect themselves. And I know this is where you had something, a flag.
I did have a flag. So I, as the witchy occult person, he brings up folklore, right? He brings up, these are the symbols that will protect us. And he is quoted as saying they're Anasazi symbols, okay? And this is in a Wendigo episode. And I can't tell you that is trash, because these people, as far as I can tell, live on very different sides of the United States and have nothing to do with each other. And this is where we're going to insert our little address about the way that the show is using the Wendigo and what we think is right. So there are going to be further resources that we're going to have linked in our show notes. If you guys are interested, I have, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different things that you can look at, which are resources that were created by indigenous people, telling Wendigo stories inside of their cultural context in their own voices. So those are both movies and books for you so that you can go and see that. This episode was not written by an indigenous person. And as far as I can tell, there was no kind of like consultancy. I don't think that they were super concerned with accuracy. IMDb even points out, because Laura's favorite is IMDb, that the Anasazi people are like nowhere near. They're what some people might call Pueblo. And Wikipedia defines them as Pueblos, Taos, San Ildefonso, the Acoma people, the Zuni people, the Hopi people. Apologies for any mispronunciations. So the Wendigo actually comes from Algonquian speaking peoples, which covers quite a lot of different peoples. It's not just one tribe or one nation. It stretches quite a bit. And so I went to look for what are indigenous people saying about this episode? How should we treat the Wendigo? And there's a lot of thought and context. So I was looking for indigenous sources first. And I'm going to read you guys a couple of quotes. And then, like I said, in the show notes, there will be there will be my research references, and there will be further links for you if you want to take more action. So the first quote says, "If you want to be respectful to Native cultures, put the Wendigo in its full context, including the fact that it is evil in our societies, with multiple Native characters involved in the plot, or don't use it at all." And that was by Maud Lesa, who is Writing with Color, which is a resource that's dedicated to allowing like Indigenous and people of color to talk about their cultures and teach people who want to write or make art about it how to do it appropriately without appropriating things.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is another quote that I thought was relevant, which is that the moral lessons contained in Wendigo stories are also used to support the task of social critique. This is a story shared not merely for entertainment, but to reinforce the community values that allow the community in which this practice occurs to live well with one another and within their environments. So that was by Caitlin Smith, and she was writing an article that's called More Than Monsters, the Deeper Significance of Wendigo Stories. That will be linked in the show notes if you want to read the entire article. And she's referring to a Native American scholar's book, which is called Columbus and Other Cannibals, the Wetiko Disease of Exploitation, Imperialism, and Terrorism. And again, I'll have that linked in the show notes for you guys. But we just wanted to like take a moment to briefly say that what Dean is saying in that moment has nothing to do with it, and that the way that the Wendigo is used as the monster of the week in this episode is, I'm going to go ahead and say, not the best. Like,
Problematic.
it is pretty problematic. And we can love the show and we can have a good time talking about the show. But I do also think that it's important that if we find stuff like this that we think is problematic, that we should say something about it instead of just being quiet and having a good time. So go ahead and check the show notes out for all of the resources, for the books, for the movies, and articles. And we hope that you have I don't want to say a good time reading it. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but I hope that you enjoy learning more about the appropriate context for the Wendigo.
Yeah. Thanks for doing that research, Joy. I think that is important, and I'm glad you thought we should put that in there.
Thanks. I'm glad we're on the same page about that.
Yeah, definitely. So we're in the campsite,
mm-hmm.
and he's saying that these symbols are going to stop. They're going to protect them, like while they're in the camp, kind of thing. And Roy is being very. He's just kind of just very dismissive about it, and Dean is like, "No one likes a skeptic, Roy," which I thought was quite funny.
That was a really funny line. That was really, really, really good. I love this whole section. There's so many important things that occur here. Like the entire mission statement gets outlined in this section.
Yeah. I was saying Sam is still being like really mopey, and he's been a bit too mopey now. I think I'm over it now.
At this point in the episode, he's just kind of being a dick, isn't he?
So he's basically, it's just they're having a bit of a heart to heart because Sam's still being one track. I need to find this creature that killed my girlfriend, and Dean's kind of like, look, we are doing that, but it's going to take a while, and we need to be helping people along the way, kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that scene. I think it's really beautiful. Like, basically, Sam is like, all I want to do is find Dad. I need to find the thing that killed Jess. And we need to take it out. And that's where his mind is. And he's viewing this whole thing as like some irrelevant side quest that he does not want to be on. And Dean is kind of like kindly reminding him that these are human lives and that they have value, because Sam is so wrapped up in his own point of view and his own pain that he's totally forgotten that, like, these people will die. Like, if they leave, if they just go, these people are going to die. Like, they're all going to die. No one's going to get saved. And Dean, instead of getting frustrated with him, instead of like them having an argument, sits down and is pretty gently like, we need to help them in order to probably find dad. Like we're going to find dad, but we have to help the people that we see along the way because that's what makes it bearable. Because Sam is
Mm.
saying, how do you live with the anger all the time? Because Dean says something like, you can't carry all of this anger inside of you all the time because it will kill you at some point. And
Yeah.
so then he's like, well, how do you do it? And he said that helping people helps. So like stopping and helping people and killing as many evil sons of bitches as I possibly can. That's what makes it better for him. And then he does say the line where it's like saving people, hunting things, the family business.
Yeah.
And I love it so much. It's so good because this entire storyline would fly. And for 2005, this is so deep. This entire storyline really would fly just on it's a revenge quest. And all they want to do is like kill the thing. And that's all that they focus on. But instead, it really becomes about two guys who are seemingly really damaged and pretty emotionally unavailable and arguably unaware, except for in moments like this, um, saving each other too. Like they're keeping each other sane. They're good to each other. Like as much as they make jokes and they say like jerk and bitch a lot in this show, there are also really beautiful moments where I don't
Mm.
think we see a lot of men talking about their feelings. Like
No.
I don't think we see a lot of shows with men deeply expressing what's going on. And I think it's done so well because it's not over the top and it's not cheesy and it's not unrealistic. They are who they are, but they do emotionally support each other. And that's just so rare for any time, but especially for 2005. And I think that we need to see more of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It was very like loving and heartfelt, big brotherly advice.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe one of the best scenes in the whole show, if I'm honest. Like, it's definitely in my top 10. Um,
Yeah.
because I think that there's such an element of truth in that. Like, if you've been through something terrible and you're feeling very consumed by anger and rage and your darker emotions, although
Hmm.
I will say that all emotions are healthy. I feel like I should caveat that. It's when you either suppress them or when you don't do anything to mitigate or deal with the ones that are dragging you down, that I think it's a
Yeah.
problem. Um, and his way of coping with it is to help people and do good.
Yeah.
And that is the whole entire point of what they're doing is to not let this happen to another Jess or another Mary. And they're not just going to be selfish about it. Like they're not just going to go straight for what they want to do, which is go immediately and find their own dad. Which when you think about it,
Mhm.
like the emotional impact of that, like they could abandon everyone and just go their own way and find their dad. But they choose not to do that. They choose to stop and help and save people and kill the bad thing. And I just think that is rare and beautiful. And not a lot of shows will have such strong morals in their characters. And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I appreciate it so much.
Yeah. I really like it, and I really like their relationship, and I feel like I now know a bit more. Like I've got to know them better
Yeah.
from that scene and their kind of their motivations for why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really
On
good scene.
on a lighter note, thirst trap. Dean
Yeah,
leaning in and explaining all of this heart to heart, vulnerable, emotional, gorgeous. Yes, thirst trap.
yeah, that was one of my Dean thirst traps as well.
Yeah.
Um, so we then hear some of the shouting and screaming in the distance again, which is really creepy. But again, I don't think it was as scary as last episode. It wasn't. It was like creepy, but not like a jump scary. And then so Roy runs after it, and then he's killed. Then that's when he's killed, and then they kind of do they something gets they get split up, don't they? So the four of them that are left, the brother, the sister, and then Sam and Dean, they all get split up. Um, oh, before that, we've got the bit where Dean says that guns and knives are useless against it, so we've got to torch the sucker. He says.
Yeah, which is a good line. Um, my next note is about Roy's death scene.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So the
yeah,
way that that's shot, I thought was so good. It's really creepy. He gets yanked up, and you see that his neck is broken, right? Like by this
yeah,
creature, and we don't really see the creature very clearly. We just see this like super menacing clawed thing moving very fast, snatch him and break his neck. And that was so brutal. I thought that was one of the best horror scenes in this whole
yeah,
episode, to be honest with you. And then as our guys are walking through, people are getting separated, like it's getting spooky, it's getting scary. Um, Blood starts dripping down Haley's face, and then Roy's body is suspended and then dropped. And I was like, this is kind of echoing how Jess and Mary were killed, actually, because
oh,
you get the
yeah,
blood drip on the face, the eyes look up, there's a dead person above you, and then horror
yeah,
ensues. So while it's not exactly the same and he doesn't burn, like it's really reminiscent. And I feel like it's, for me, I would say it's reinforcing the point that like everybody matters, every character matters, and Dean is right. Like it is their job to protect these people because if not Sam and Dean, then who's going to do it? So I think the
hmm,
fact that there's an echo for her shows it's like they're marrying the storylines of these two families. She gets to be with her brother again. They will find
yeah,
him and rescue him. They get to go home together, but Sam and Dean aren't going to get that happy ending. And so it's a juxtaposition, and this sets that up, which is the only reason why I'm bringing that up. Because as we
hmm,
get through, I have other notes that tie into this where we'll see that the writing is taking us through this moment on purpose to be like, look at the difference here. Like, this is how badly they're suffering, but they're
hmm,
still making the right choices.
yeah. Yeah, I hadn't even noticed that. It's a good call.
Thank you. I only noticed it on the second watch, so good job, me.
See, it's handy having to watch it multiple times
It
to
is.
write
It
notes
is.
about it, isn't
But I
it?
think it also, like, we're still having a good time watching it 2 or 3, or in my case, probably 30 or 40 times so at this point.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that that's another testament to how watchable it is.
So they get split up. So obviously Haley and Dean are together,
Yep,
obviously, and
naturally.
then and then Sam and I want to say the brother's called Ben. I don't think we've ever mentioned his name before. I think he's Ben.
Emo
So
Kid is
Sam and Ben
Ben.
are together.
Yeah.
We're just calling him the brother or the like emo kid. And then this bit I thought was I was like shouting at the television because they it's the bit where they come up to the opening to the mine. It has that the big signs up and it says I did write something down. Extremely toxic materials, stay out. And Sam's just like, yeah, just walk straight in. I'm like, why? Why would you go in there? It says it's extremely toxic.
He doesn't even look around to
No.
see if there's, like, goo or, I don't know, something that might
Yeah.
drip on him. N there's not, he just goes straight in. He's just, like, focused. Yeah,
He
that
is
was,
not bothered at all.
yeah. And this is where we get some
But
really good flashlight horror. So everything is dark. It's very like tunnely, cavey. It's an old defunct either gold or silver mine. Um and like it's very scary in parts. Like I would say this part is scarier than a lot of the other parts. I think from Roy's death through this part we get a lot better level of scare factor, at least for me personally. Like I think going through
mhm.
these narrow tunnels, like having parts of the place like collapsing unpredictably around them, um and the fact that you can
Yeah.
only see like a tiny bit ahead of the scene makes it so much scarier because you have no idea when the creature is going to come. You know it's going to come. And then you do actually see it like in the tunnels as well. And it's silhouetted and it's looking very Nosferatu and super creepy. Um,
Mm.
and again, like the fact that it moves incredibly fast is emphasized. And so it feels really scary to be alone in the dark, only able to see a tiny bit in front of you while this like really terrifying, weird, long fingered taloned thing is running around trying to kill everybody.
Yeah. I would be really scared if I was them because I'm a little bit claustrophobic. So going in a mine would be like I would never want to do that. And like caving and things, no, like no, thank you. So yeah, that's scary from that point of view. I missed the first time I watched this because then they get into a bit that opens up, and then Haley and Dean are there, aren't they? Like all
Yeah.
strung up like the others were. And I was like, did I completely miss them getting taken by the creature?
It happened
and I
so
and,
fast.
and then on the second bit, oh, we missed talking about the like the little Hansel and Gretel moment
Oh,
with the
the
M&Ms.
M&Ms. Yeah, the
That
M&Ms,
was
because
funny.
he's like, "What do you mean I didn't pack provisions?" And then he has the family-sized fun bag of M&Ms, and it's hilarious and brilliant. And then, when they're taking Dean has managed to string along, like, some M&Ms, which actually the brother finds. So again, we need
Yeah,
to give him some credit, okay? Emo kid for the win. He sees the trail and then points it out to Sam. And Sam's like, "This is better than," what does he say? "Better than breadcrumbs?" Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I liked that bit. Um, so and then in that same area, they find Tommy, who's the brother of
Mhm.
the other two who they're actually trying to find. And there was a jump scare here. This one didn't get me. Did this one get you?
I think it got me the first time because I really thought that he was actually dead, because we as the viewer are made to believe that Tommy's dead, and it's so sad, and Haley's walking up to him and she's crying, and then he makes the big
Yeah,
gasp of life. He's like, and jolts, and then Haley's like, "Ah!" And then she's like, "You're alive." Obviously, it's better than that.
I thought her scream was a bit delayed though,
Yeah, yeah.
because he kind of yeah, it was like a good couple of seconds after. I was like, that wasn't very
You were
realistic.
like, "Work on your timing." I wonder if that's timing or if that's editing. But yeah, so the delayed scream, um, maybe they were giving us all time to have had our jump scare, and then she screams, and then that's supposed to be like a secondary jump scare. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. Like horror-wise, I feel like that was pretty good. The body that we're sure is dead, and then suddenly it's like jerking and
Hmm.
jolting and moving, and you go, "Ah!" Um, because again, you get um the happier ending potential for her at that moment, that her brother is actually alive and that they might
Yeah.
actually make it out as a complete family unit. And Sam and Dean
Yeah.
are bleeding to make that possible for them without getting
Hmm.
their own happy ending.
Yeah. I think maybe my anxiety mind stopped me from being jump scared because I was like, something's gonna happen. Like this is
You're
too. There's
predicting
definitely
them.
gonna be something happening
Yeah.
here. Yeah, I think that's just me.
I
Um,
think I think maybe that's actually why this episode is a little bit less scary than episode 1, because episode 1 got me on the scare factor. Um
yeah, definitely.
But this one didn't, and I'm gonna say that I think it's because it does lean so heavily on, like, the X-Files and the Blair Witch for references, that
Hmm.
those jump scares are very predictable at this point in
Yeah.
2024, and they're played out, and so we're not getting the same hits as if we were watching it back in 2005. Because I remember seeing it for the first time, and I remember that it got me good. Um the first time and then I saw it, but now it's just like it's so played out that I can appreciate moments of it, but it doesn't actually make me jump. Like none of the jump scares got me this time.
No, no. Um, so this is where they kind of on the way to escape, trying to escape. So um, we still don't see the monster yet, but Dean decides he's going to go and try and distract it while the others escape. And he's got some funny, like, sassy lines here as well.
He screams, "Chow time, you freaky bastard! Bring it on! I taste good!" And
It
then
did
he
make me laugh, all the
runs.
things he was saying.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
runs away as loudly as possible, doing this weird like crab run situation.
Yeah, they did make me laugh. I still, it's one of those things that I mentioned in the last episode, but how it can go from being like scary to like funny within a split second. I really, really like that.
I truly love that about the show. I feel like the lines are hilarious. He also says, "Hey, you want some white meat, bitch? I'm right here."
Yeah,
And that
he's
went
just
on
taunting
review. Like after all the research on the Wendigo that I did, I was like, "Is that a little
it.
racist?" Like that
Yeah,
we I think we might have to flag that as a pretty problematic line.
it does
Um
feel like it now. Yeah.
because like when you think about it in the context where you have the indigenous monster and it's not exactly set up as representing being indigenous, I don't think, but it's tropey enough that it makes that line feel super uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does. And this is the bit where we finally see. So Sam comes face to face with the monster, and that was a bit of a jump, actually. A little bit
That
of a jump.
that was good. That was really good. I
Yeah.
actually feel like if I was going to have a thirst trap for Sam, it's when Sam and Dean split up and they look at each other and he's like, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" And he's like, "I think so."
Yeah.
And then um Sam stays to protect the siblings, which I feel like is like his redemption, right? Because
Yeah.
he's protecting the family and he's sacrificing potentially himself and Dean. Like he knows that they're putting themselves in danger here and he's acting like the protector. And then Dean
Mhm.
runs off like a maniac shouting all this stuff that we just quoted. And I feel like both of them can get it in that particular scene because they're
Yeah.
being really sexy and really tough.
Mhm.
Um, and then you go ahead with the rest of your show notes.
Well, I agree with the thirst trap there because I had two straight away with both of them. So it was, first of all, the monster when you first see him. I was expecting it to be scarier because to me he looked like Voldemort. And then, but yeah, Sam protecting, like literally shielding the three others with his arms, like get behind me, and he's standing
Yeah.
there. I was like, that was
He's
hot.
very tall and very large, and he makes an excellent human shield. And I
Yeah,
find the hot human shield is hot, okay? Like I gave it away from the outset by calling it the hot human shield, but that's hot. That's hot.
yeah, that definitely was. And then, like seconds later, you've got Dean comes in and shoots the flare gun at the monster, and he looks really hot through the heat haze. So it's
Yeah,
like the haze, and he looked really hot there as well. He
physically
was
and
literally
tactically.
smoldering.
He was literally smoldering. Yeah, I have that down as my like main thirst trap for the episode. Um,
Uh,
which takes me to 4, I think. Um, so basically, what you see this terrifying moment where, like, Sam is acting as a human shield. The monster is coming, like, coming for them. Like, you think, oh my God, they're all going to die. Everyone is so fucked. Even on the
yeah,
rewatch, you think, oh, fuck. You're done, son. This is bad. And then the flare gun fires off, and what you see from your perspective is the flare eating through the monster's body, and then you see Dean
yeah.
on the other side of it, looking hot as fuck. Can I just say, she's right, smoldering, smoldering,
Smoldering. Hmm.
smoldering. Um, and
Yes.
you realize that he's saved the day, and he also gives us a very like I don't know how to describe it. It's a very Flynn Rider face where he's just like, I'm the greatest, and I know I'm the greatest, and I've rescued you. Appreciate my greatness
Yeah.
while smoldering, but not in an obnoxious way, in a really attractive way. That's the only way I can describe that.
He's just like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the vibe.
the CGI of the bit where the flame goes in the body, I was like, it looks a bit dated now, but I
Yeah.
still think, for a show that came out in 2005, that was pretty good.
Yeah, we'll give them credit for that one. It was okay.
Yeah,
It was
definitely.
okay. Yeah.
So we've only got a little bit left of the show now, so the episode
Mhm.
even. So Haley and Dean afterwards, so they're out now. They've got like there's ambulances and things going on, and this is you liked this quote because you voice noted me this bit about when Haley is saying to Dean, "I don't know how to repay you," and he's smirking at her and
He gives
says,
her the
and then she
filthiest
says,
look.
"Do you have to chief in the moment?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Yeah. No, I love that part. And that is thirst trap number 5. Well, like, it's part of thirst trap number 5. Thirst trap number 5 starts there, where he's like, eyebrow raised, like, you know how to repay me. Um,
Yeah.
and she's like, don't cheapen the moment. Um, Which, before I forget to say this, props to Haley. Okay, Haley
Huh.
kind of ends up being the final girl. I don't think she 100% qualifies because she doesn't do a lot of the fighting herself. But she is so smart. She's like, show me your badge. She's one of the only women ever to see Dean Winchester and be like, show me some identification, please. Everybody else is just like, you're very pretty, please come in. She's like, no, I'm not opening this door. She's smart. She's questioning him. She's like, you're not a park ranger. She sees through him. And she's not just this wilting maiden. She's like, I am going to rescue my brother. And if you guys want to come with me, that's great. She's organized and prepared. And I love to see that. I love to see that she's not this wilting, like, oh, save me. And she's not just giving in immediately to the fact that Dean is super hot. Like, or Sam. You know, she's like, these very attractive men are here. However, that does not affect me because I am a grown, intelligent, independent woman. I love her.
Yeah, no, she was good. I liked her. Then Dean and Sam are saying, oh, they go off in the ambulance. Oh, you had something to say about that bit?
I
About
did,
how
because
Dean was looking at them in the ambulance.
yeah, so you see Dean watching this expression of like absolute vulnerability and longing, and it's amazing. Where you can see that he's thinking that they're gonna get to go home. And he and Sam are not gonna get to go home. Like
Yeah.
they've been through this entire ordeal and they just have to get up and go again and again and again and again. And like, you know that he knows that. And he's still so kind to Haley and he's so happy for her, like all jokes aside. And then
Yeah.
they say those lines where she's like, don't cheapen the moment. Like, did you have to do that? And he's like, yeah. But then she kisses him on the cheek. Okay, firstly,
Yeah.
for a moment, just to pause from my emotional depth. Who the hell has an opportunity to kiss Dean Winchester and kisses this man on the cheek? Like, it's memorable. It's a boss move, don't get me wrong. But who would do that? Okay, that's over. I'm coming back to being a professional again. So she kisses him on the cheek, and you see Dean's reaction, and all the mask falls away, and he's so surprised, and he's so vulnerable, and like, you realize this is the thing that I realized watching that is I don't think that Dean is actually that much of a chick magnet in the very beginning. Like, he's a kid who's had a really rough life. He's a good-looking guy, but I don't actually think that he's the womanizing like stereotype that we kind of think that he is. At least not at this point in the show. And I feel like it's so sweet and so cute that the fact that she kissed him on the cheek completely through him. It's really beautiful. And then you see her walk away and leave. And the thing is like, Dean really liked her. And then she's leaving him. So he's rescued her whole family. And he knows that he's not going to see her again. She's getting to go home with the people that she loves the most in the world. And he and Sam, who've been totally bereft, are still on the hunt. They're still searching. They're still journeying. So I feel like from the beginning of the episode and that kind of like middle section that I brought up before to this part, like with the echo of her and Roy's death scene, where there's that echo of like trauma, death, loss, we get to see her going home and being with her brothers and being with her family. And then we get to see Sam and Dean carrying on the fight.
Yeah. I don't feel like, obviously, this is just kind of prediction territory, but I can't really see that their lifestyle is going to match up well with like dating.
Nope.
So it's like, yeah, he likes her, but he's got to let her go.
Yeah, exactly. They're basically always on the road. So like, that's the whole point, is they're on the hunt for their dad. They're on the road. And we know, without giving any spoilers, like, we know that it can't be resolved anytime soon and that that's going to be their lifestyle for a while because there's no show. If they find their dad suddenly, there's no show. So we know they can't immediately find him and that they're out. And this is how it is for a while. And I think there's something really emotionally touching about the fact that you have these two boys who they're not orphans, but like they've lost their mom. They can't find their dad. Like all
Mhm.
they have in the world is each other. And they keep encountering these horrible scenarios. And they keep choosing to fight and they kept choosing to protect the vulnerable, which I love that about this show.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really starting to like that as well. Um, I like that that's their kind of story and what's going to be happening.
Yeah.
Really like it. Um, yeah. Also, so one of the it's not the very last scene, but they are standing next to each other, watching the ambulance go off, and I can't remember who starts it. I think it's Dean starts it, and it's like, "Man, I hate camping." And it sounds like, "Yeah, me too." And I was like, "Yeah, me three."
Yeah, you were.
As I was watching it, I was like, "I do not like camping either. I'm not a camping person."
I like
Are you a
camping.
camping person? You seem more of
Yeah.
a camping person.
I'm pretty
Yeah, yeah,
outdoorsy. I'm a fan. I like sleeping under the trees. I love telling like really scary stories outside at night when you know you're not going to go back someplace safe and warm because it's so creepy and so
yeah.
spooky. It's the best.
Well, I do actually have a creepy camping story. I have been camping a few times, um, and this is when I was at uni. Actually, it's probably around the same time that this episode was out. I would hazard a guess at.
Yeah. Nice,
And
nice.
I was camping. I was camping in. We were in Wales. I went with one of my friends from uni
Yeah.
at a place called Tinton, and there's a campsite. I don't know if it's still there. Campsite that's an old station, and there was all of these like wooden statues everywhere around the campsite.
Yeah.
And we were just in a tent, and we I think we were probably telling each other scary stories. We were all spooked anyway. And then in the middle of the night, when you have to, go to the bathroom.
Hmm.
So I'd got out of my tent, and I hadn't seen these creepy wooden statues before. And I'd walked down to like towards the river area, and I saw all of these statues, and I swear they were in a circle. I might be misremembering that, but I feel like they were all in a circle, and I thought it was this weird, like, I don't know, group of people to start with that were in the campsite because we would all speak to each other out before. And so that just reminded me a little bit of this because, yeah, camping. No, camping and creepy stories.
That's hilarious. I think that's one of my favorite things about like is when horror plays on like real life things that spook us. I find that so much fun.
Yeah,
It's one of the reasons why I
yeah,
enjoy camping because there's so many scary things. And I always think of is it An American Werewolf in London? Yeah. Because there's
uh-huh.
all those scenes where they're clearly like backpacking and walking and outdoorsy and it just has camping vibes. I always think about that when I'm out, and then whatever other like woodsy folklore comes to mind that's terrible and terrifying, and I thrive. Honestly, I don't really sleep very well at first, but then I do eventually sleep and I thrive. It's great. It's even better if I'm there with somebody who is really scared because then I think that's funny. Like I'm merciless. I just think it's hilarious.
Well, if we went camping together, then you could do that.
It would be you'd be like, "What is that sound?" And I'd be like, "It's a
Okay.
fox. It's an owl." I would try to resist the urge to prank you by getting some really long sticks and like dragging them on the outside of the tent.
Or like tying loads of like little straw dolls into the trees.
Yes.
So when I wake up,
Yeah.
like
Be
Blair
like the Blair
Witch,
Witch. Yeah.
I'll
Amazing.
come out and be like, "Oh, what's happened overnight?"
Comment
um,
in our comment below it if you guys see that on Spotify or your podcast platform where you're watching this. If you think we should go camping together and record the experience.
record it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, email us if you have any scary camping stories because I would be really interested in reading those.
Ooh, me too. I want to know. I want to know. Tell me everything. Or
Yeah.
terrifying experiences in the woods. Those are good too. Definitely
Yeah.
send that in.
Yeah. Any scary stories in the woods.
Hmm.
So I think that's it. We've got one scene where the car drives off. Oh, this was I had one flag which is right at the end when the car drives off again. So that I'd made a note that it was clearly footage from the same time as the start. You know when I said the car looked really good?
Yeah.
It was clearly filmed at the same time because it was all the same lighting. The car looked exactly the same. It looked like the same road. So they probably just used a bit of footage.
Yeah.
But so Sam says, "I'm driving," and takes the keys, and then where in that last little bit as the car drives off, you can kind of see, because Sam is taller and has bushier hair, that he's on the wrong side. And to start with, I was like, is it just me? Am I looking at it from the side of the road that I drive on in this country? But I
Yeah.
checked and I was like, no, he is definitely now in the passenger seat. And when I was reading through IMDb, which I do after you guys, I'm not like, normally when I'm watching things, I'll be reading things as I go. But for this, I'm coming up with my own notes, and then I'm reading through IMDb to see if anything matches up. And there was someone that had put in the goofs, they'd mentioned that it wasn't Sam driving anymore. But then when I watched it the second time, I was like, well, the lighting, when he says he's going to start driving, it's dark, it's nighttime.
Yeah.
And then as the car's driving off, it's during the day again. So I was like, well, maybe it's just because he was driving and then they switched again, but before the morning. So it's not
That's
really a flag.
that's very kind of you. That's a very kind. I feel like you're giving them a lot of grace for that. Because I would be like, continuity error, if I saw that. And I didn't see it until you pointed it out. Like, I am so bad at noticing continuity issues. But Laura seems to be pretty good at it. So fortunately, we have her
I
for
didn't
that.
realise that was a strength of mine, but apparently it is.
It is.
But also, another, in their defence, like televisions were a lot smaller when this came out.
True.
And we probably wouldn't have seen it at all. It's only because we have like big televisions now.
HD situation where you can clearly see who's in the dark. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would have gotten away with night to day switches. Like,
oh yeah, I was like, well, maybe it's just the morning now.
Suddenly noon. We have gone from very late at night to immediately noon. It's not even like dawn light. It's like just straight up bright daylight.
Middle of the day.
They fully time traveled. Yeah, that was not right. Do you want to play end of episode games then, or do you have anything else?
Yeah, but we can't do all of them because I did make a note. I've got Monster Hot or Not. I put very much not. I do not fancy Voldemort.
Okay, this monster is giving Nosferatu, which I am not attracted to. Fun fact. I know I said vampires were my weakness. He's also I feel like he's cultural appropriation in the context that the show has used him in this instance. Like, I think there's ways, given what some of those like research pieces that I found said, I think there's ways of doing it and being respectful, but this was not it. So he is not hot. He is not hot.
No,
and
he's not hot.
Not respectful. No.
Yeah.
It's a no from us.
Not hot and not cool.
Not hot and not cool. What was your best quote?
Corporeal, excuse me, Professor.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think that my favorite one is "Chow time, you freaky bastard, bring it on. I taste good," because it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that it makes it great.
Yes. Did you do a monster scare rating?
I give him, if we're going from 1 to 10, I give this guy like a 5, maybe a 5.7. He didn't get me like the woman in white got me. She got me on levels.
Same. Yeah. I put 5.5 for this one. Yep. I said, if I was camping and I came across him, I would be scared, but it was just a bit lame.
Yeah.
So 5.5.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right. What is your one? We're only allowed to carry on one favorite thirst trap.
It's so hard for me, but it has to be when you see the kill shot moment and he's like smirking and smoldering and literally smoldering, because that's just skills. Okay, that's just skills. What about you?
Well, I've already broken my own rules, so I'm going to have to choose one. I've got 2 written down. I had one for each. I'm going to say just Sam being really intelligent and smart all episode.
Are you incredibly attracted to Doctor Who and or Sherlock?
I like Sherlock.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to know for my own edification if it was just Sam or if it was like intelligent male characters are sexy.
I suppose it is that as well, because Doctor Who, not all the Doctor Who's I liked. Matt Smith's Doctor Who.
Matt Smith, I love. I love his Doctor Who so
Yeah,
much. I love David
I like
Tennant and
his
Matt
Doctor Who.
Smith.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so yeah, maybe it is a thing. And if I have to choose one specific moment of him being smart, it's the bit when they're in the bar with he's got all his research.
Was
So yeah.
that like the hottest moment for you, or was it the human shield moment?
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm changing my answer. It's the human shield moment.
Human
Yeah.
shield. I thought it might be the human shield. Yep.
Yeah, well remembered. I'd forgotten about that one. Yeah, that's
I've
the one.
got you.
So I think we're definitely gonna have to wrap it up there because this is really long. When we started this podcast, we said, "What's a good episode length?" And Joy was like, 30 minutes. And I was like, "Okay, I think we're gonna have to be about 45 because of the episodes are that long."
Yeah.
And yeah, so they're going to be longer. We might have to end up doing some two-parters or something at some point if they're too long.
I agree.
Okay, so yeah, so I think that is it. So we're gonna wrap it up there.
Thanks for tuning in. If you liked this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. We would be very grateful. And if you know someone who would enjoy it, please share.
You can find us on Instagram at the Witches of Letters podcast, or you can email us at thewitchesofletters@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay safe out there, have each other's backs, and always keep fighting.